was 3 in the morning. The city was quiet and empty. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet. Neon lights flickered and made broken reflections in the puddles. I was tired, ready to go home, when my phone pinged with another ride request. The pickup was on a street I didn't know well, in an older part of town. Still, I accepted it. I needed the money. My tuition fees were piling up, and every ride counted. When I got there, I saw her standing under a broken streetlight. She looked out of place. Her long hair hung wet, sticking to her face. Her coat was old, torn at the edges, heavy with water. She carried nothing. No bag, no phone, nothing at all. And she didn't even move when I pulled up. I felt so creepy. She only stared at the car, her eyes wide, almost desperate. After a few seconds, she opened the door and sat in the back. She gave me just one word: an address. Her voice was so soft, I almost didn't hear it. Then I started driving. The streets were empty, too quiet. The sound of the tires on wet pavement filled the silence. I glanced in the mirror. She sat stiff, her hands gripping the seat so tightly. Her knuckles looked pale. She didn't blink much. She didn't look around. Just stared forward like something was chasing her. I tried not to think about it, but unease crept over me. Something about her didn't feel right. After a while, she leaned forward. Her hand, cold and strong, grabbed me out of nowhere. My chest tightened, and she whispered just one short sentence: "He's behind you." I looked quickly at the road behind. Empty. No cars, no people, only dark, wet streets stretching on. But when I looked back at her reflection in the mirror, her eyes were wide, unblinking, full of fear. My stomach dropped. I pressed harder on the gas. The GPS took me down streets I had never seen before. Old shops with boarded windows, broken sidewalks, and heavy fog curling through alleys. Every shadow looked alive. She said nothing more, but I felt her watching me. Her cold grip stayed on my wrist until we finally reached the destination. It was an alley, swallowed in darkness. The single streetlight nearby barely worked, buzzing weakly. She let go of me and opened the door. But before stepping out, she placed her hand on my shoulder. It lingered there, heavy and cold, like a warning. Then she walked into the alley. Within seconds, the dark swallowed her whole. I drove off quickly, heart racing, refusing to look in the rearview mirror. The next morning, I checked the app. No ride was listed, no record at all. But even now, when I drive past that street late at night, I feel the back seat grow heavier, like someone is there, watching, waiting. And deep down, I know if she ever comes back, I may not be able to leave again. If you think that ride was unsettling, remember, the scariest passengers aren't always the ones you can see. Next time you get into a car at night, check the mirrors twice. You might not be alone, so don't forget to like and share. Someone you know might need the warning. And subscribe before the lights go out, because the next story might already be following you home. Midnight has a funny way of making everything look worse than it is. Streets that feel safe in the day suddenly look like the set of a horror movie. Streetlights flicker like they're running on batteries from the dollar store, and every shadow seems to have an attitude. And that's when my app pinged. A ride request. Great. Just what I needed when all I wanted was sleep. The pickup was a quiet cul-de-sac, the kind of place where lawn gnomes probably have a homeowners association. When I pulled up, I was ready for the usual. Someone drunk, someone sneaking out, someone carrying a pizza bigger than me. Instead, I got her. She was beautiful, to be honest. She was standing there in the rain, her dress soaked and clinging, her hair hanging over her face, like she'd given up on umbrellas years ago. She had no phone, no bag, and not even a, "Hey, thanks for coming." Just her. Looking like she crawled straight out of a VHS tape. Of course she climbed in. Because why wouldn't the creepy stranger without luggage be my passenger? The door shut with a soft click, the kind that makes you wonder if you've just made a bad decision. I started driving. She didn't say a word, not even a friendly smile. She just sat there, staring forward, hands in her lap like she was waiting for me to fail a test I didn't know I was taking. But every now and then, I heard her whispering, too low to understand. It sounded more like humming than words. Well, I'm a pretty laid-back guy, so I tried to lighten the mood, put on some music, cracked a few jokes, maybe even tried a little flirting. But she didn't care. Maybe she already had a boyfriend. So I focused on my driving skills. And trust me, the whole time she didn't move. Not a blink, not a cough, just a heavy silence that made me wonder if my car's air freshener was working overtime. The longer it went, the heavier the air felt, like I had an elephant in the back seat instead of one soaked woman. I gripped the wheel tighter, pretending I was totally fine, and not about to pee myself on my own leather seats. Finally, the road ended at a cul-de-sac swallowed in shadows. The streetlight buzzed, like it was also nervous. And that's when I heard it. She said my name. I froze, gripping the wheel tighter. I hadn't told her my name. I hadn't said a word about myself. The street around us began to change. Houses thinned out, replaced by broken buildings, boarded windows, doors hanging loose. It felt like we'd driven out of the present and into something abandoned, forgotten. She leaned forward, her cold hand brushing against my arm. I pulled away quickly. That's when I heard her laugh. A sound that seemed to come from the car itself, not her. I slammed on the brakes, but she didn't flinch. Her eyes stayed locked on mine. Black, endless, like staring into a well with no bottom. Slowly, she opened the door and stepped out, calm as if she had all the time in the world. I thought it was over, but as I tried to pull away, her hand shot out and grabbed my shoulder. Her grip was like ice pressing straight into my bones. I panicked and hit the gas. My pulse hammered in my ears, and then I glanced at the rearview mirror, terrified she'd still be there. But the seat was empty. Only a faint smell lingered, something between cheap perfume and damp soil. I drove until the streets looked normal again, back toward neighborhoods I recognized. But the ride home was unbearable. Every shadow in the mirror seemed to move. Every flicker of passing light felt like eyes watching. The next morning I checked my app. No record, no ride, no payment, nothing. It was as if she had never been there. But even now, when I pass that cul-de-sac, I hear it again. A whisper so soft, it almost blends with the tires on the road. My name. And I swear, if she ever shows up again, I'm uninstalling that app on the spot. Lyft, Uber, doesn't matter. I'll walk. I never liked late-night pickups, especially the ones that come from dead zones on the map. Areas abandoned long before anyone bothered to pave the roads. But when the ping popped up at 3 a.m., the fare made me blink twice. I told myself it was just another quiet ride. I was wrong. I rolled up to the warehouse lot on the outskirts of the city. Rusted shipping containers leaned against broken fences. The asphalt cracked and littered with shards of glass. At first, I thought the figure in the shadows was just a trick of the fog. Then she stepped forward. Her smile hit me before anything else. Wide. Too wide. Unnatural. Like it stretched further than any human mouth should. Her eyes caught the dim light, glinting with something I couldn't place. A hunger, a curiosity, or something darker. She didn't speak, didn't move to wave. She just opened the rear door and slid in, silent as the night. "Address?" I asked, my voice tight, trying to mask the unease curling in my stomach. She whispered a street name I recognized. Not a place anyone lived anymore, a crumbling, overgrown road that people avoided. I swallowed. The hairs on the back of my neck prickled. As I drove, I tried to focus on the road, on the lines painted faintly in the darkness. But I could feel her eyes boring into my back through the rearview mirror, burning into my spine. A hand rested on my shoulder. Cold. Dead cold. I flinched. "Don't touch me," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. "You can't see him yet," she whispered. "What? Who?" Panic made my voice rise. She leaned back slightly, still smiling. Those impossibly wide lips stretched across her face. Her gaze didn't waver. It held me like a predator holding prey. And I realized with a sinking heart that I wasn't driving anymore. I was just moving. She was guiding me. The GPS led me to a street that shouldn't even exist, swallowed by weeds and shadows. The air pressed down on the car, thick and cold, like something alive was crawling over the hood. I kept glancing in the mirror, half expecting her to vanish, but she didn't. Not yet. Then she lunged, her hand clamped around my arm like iron. I yelped, hitting the brakes. Tires screamed against the cracked asphalt, gravel scattering in all directions. I twisted to look at her, and she was gone. The seat was empty. No door opened, no sound, just the faint imprint of her smile pressed into the leather, mocking me. The car smelled of perfume and something metallic, damp, like earth after a storm. I floored it, driving past the street, past the lot, past everything that could explain what had just happened. Silence followed me, thick and suffocating, but no trace of her. I didn't check the app that night. Didn't want to see a name, a number, anything that could confirm whether she'd been real or a fragment of some fevered nightmare. Weeks later, curiosity got the better of me. I drove back to the lot. Empty, rusting containers, broken asphalt, and silence. But in the fog, I could swear I saw her, standing by the fence, that impossible smile cutting through the mist, waiting for the next driver, waiting for me. And deep down, I know if I stop, even for a second, she'll be there, watching, smiling, patient. I really didn't want to drive that night. Late shifts, empty streets, the city whispering its usual threats. It wasn't worth it. But my situation was worse. Bills piling up, rent overdue, and this ride could cover at least 1 week of it. So, against every instinct, I turned the app on. The ping came at 1:45 a.m., a convenience store pickup. I pulled in reluctantly, expecting someone tired or drunk. Instead, she was there. Hooded coat, no bag, no phone. Just eyes staring through the darkness, unblinking. She slid in, silently. Too close. Her body pressed against my arm, as if the back seat had shrunk just for her. My nerves tightened. "Address?" I asked. My voice sounded small in the car, swallowed by the quiet. She whispered, "Drive. Don't stop." I obeyed. Every red light became a countdown of dread. Every time I glanced at the rearview mirror, she was there, inches from me, eyes locked on mine. Dark circles, damp streaks of mascara under her eyes, a faint shimmer of sweat or rain. Her voice, barely audible, floated to my ear. "Soon." The GPS guided me away from the city, down roads I rarely took, toward a construction site long abandoned. Empty. Half-built structures like skeletons in the fog. I pulled over, hands trembling on the wheel. "We're here," I said, voice quivering. She didn't move, didn't open the door, didn't say a word. Then, without warning, her hand shot forward, grabbing my wrist. Ice cold. Wet. A pressure that made my blood run cold. Her eyes drilled into mine, unblinking, unyielding. I jerked back, heart pounding. She was gone. Empty seat. No door had opened, no sound of movement. Just the lingering smell of rain and cold steel, sharp and metallic. I sat frozen, staring at the empty lot, wondering if I'd imagined it, if the fog had played tricks, if exhaustion had cracked my mind. But the car smelled the same, the damp chill clinging to me. My pulse refused to settle. I never turned the app on again after that night. The convenience store, long closed. The street she guided me down, forgotten, overgrown, erased from GPS. Yet sometimes, late at night, when the rain hits the windshield and the city hums with distant life, I feel it. A brush against my arm. A whisper, just as soft and sharp as before. "Soon." I don't know what she wanted or why she vanished, but I know one thing. She's still out there, somewhere between the shadows and the light, waiting for the next driver foolish enough to answer the ping.